It always starts quietly, not with a court filing, not with a separation statement, but with a move that looks harmless to anyone who isn't trained to read power. This time, it wasn't a leaked argument or a missed public appearance. It was a hearing decision. A decision that, in Hollywood terms, doesn't whisper trouble, it screams it. Meghan Markle has quietly rehired Sunshine Sachs. And if you know how elite celebrity divorces really work, that single move changes everything. For months, the public has sensed something is wrong. The strained smiles, the separate schedules. Harry fighting ghosts in British courtrooms while Meghan builds a solo empire in California. But while the internet argued over jam labels and podcast cancellations, something far more consequential was unfolding behind the gates of Montecito. Because Sunshine Sachs isn't just a PR firm. In elite circles, they're known for one thing above all else: narrative control during high-stakes personal implosions. They are the people you hire months before the papers are served, not after. And this is where the story turns from gossip into a legal thriller. Veteran royal biographer Tom Bower, a man whose reporting has survived libel courts and billionaire legal teams, has been warning that Prince Harry is walking into a trap he doesn't even recognize. Not a media trap, not a royal trap, a contractual one. A trap buried inside a document he signed years ago, one that quietly determines who controls the money, the brand, the future, and potentially even the children. To understand why this has sent shockwaves through royal circles, you need to understand who Tom Bower is. He is not a YouTuber chasing clicks. He is a former barrister and BBC journalist with 4 decades of experience dismantling powerful figures using documents, sworn testimony, and corroborated witnesses. When Bower writes, he writes as if every sentence will be cross-examined in court, because often it is. For his investigation into the Sussex marriage, Bower reportedly conducted more than 80 interviews. Palace staff, Hollywood agents, financial managers, legal advisors, people who didn't speculate, people who handled contracts, reviewed amendments, and watched the financial structure take shape. And according to those sources, there is a clause inside the Sussex marital agreement that fundamentally alters the power balance of the marriage. Most people assume Harry is protected by royal law. In the UK, prenups involving royalty are designed to shield the crown. Titles, inheritances, ancestral property, all ring-fenced. But Harry and Meghan made a decision that effectively voided centuries of royal legal insulation. They moved to California, and California does not care about fairy tales. California is a community property state. Anything earned during the marriage is typically split down the middle. Netflix money, publishing advances, real estate. But Bower suggests this case goes far beyond a simple 50-50 split. Buried in the agreement is an intellectual property and management clause that reportedly grants control of shared ventures to the designated primary manager. And when you look at the paperwork, the trademarks, the filings, the RTUL documents, one name appears first, again and again. Not Harry's. This clause allegedly reframes the marriage not as a romantic partnership, but as a corporate structure. Meghan as the operator, Harry as the talent. And in Hollywood, talent doesn't own the machine. The producer does. If that clause holds, Harry isn't just at risk of losing money. He's at risk of losing control of his own narrative, his brand, and his future earning power. The most unsettling part? This trap may not have been set at the wedding. In 2018, Harry had palace lawyers watching every comma. The real danger window came later in 2020 during the chaos of Megxit. Emotional, angry, isolated from his family, desperate to escape. According to Bower's reporting, this is when key amendments were made, framed as practical steps for a new life in America, signed quickly, trusted blindly. Harry thought he was signing freedom. He may have been signing away leverage. And that brings us to the uncomfortable question no one wants to ask. If this was accidental, why does every recent move suggest preparation rather than panic? Because once you understand the legal architecture, the rehiring of Sunshine Sachs doesn't look defensive. It looks timed, planned, surgical. This isn't about love fatting. This is about power consolidating. And if that's true, then Prince Harry isn't fighting the British press at all. He's fighting a battle he didn't know started, one that may have already been decided on paper years ago. The morning of February 5th, 2026, opened under a gray, low-hanging mist over Montecito. Meghan Markle's estate, usually a showcase of Californian light and curated serenity, carried an air of tense deliberation. Inside the main house, advisors moved quietly, phones on encrypted lines, laptops open to draft legal statements and PR strategies. Her inner circle, reduced now to a core team of 4 senior aides, convened around a walnut conference table, reviewing the fallout from the February 2nd video. While Instagram metrics continued to climb, likes, shares, and algorithmic amplification, the atmosphere was tense, almost suffocating. Every post, every caption was dissected not for its artistic value, but for its legal and custodial ramifications. Across the Atlantic, Buckingham Palace and Clarence House were consolidating behind Prince Harry. Reports confirmed that he had spent the night at Fort Belvedere, reviewing custodial filings and preparing his own statements for the February 10th Sandringham summit. Advisors described him as calm but resolute, a combination of strategic focus and quiet determination that contrasted sharply with Meghan's high-visibility digital maneuvers. Harry's legal team, led by Hugo Bradshaw QC, circulated drafts outlining strict parental asymmetry in digital content authorization, a framework designed to balance maternal autonomy with institutional safeguarding. By early afternoon, senior palace aides confirmed that Princess Anne had personally reviewed these drafts, highlighting clauses on immediate takedown, cross-border consent, and the appointment of neutral digital guardians for both Archie and Lilette. Meanwhile, Montecito remained in digital lockdown. Staff reported that Meghan spent long hours in her study, reading legal briefs, drafting her own notes, and maintaining a detailed journal titled Legacy Threads. She refused interviews, declined media commentary, and postponed all public appearances, signaling a disciplined yet defiant approach. Outside observers noted that her strategy appeared twofold: to maintain narrative control and to establish moral authority in the debate over parental expression and digital oversight. The Duchess's legal counsel submitted an encrypted dossier to the High Court titled Maternal Autonomy in Modern Royalism, asserting that any restrictions imposed by the Royal Compact constituted a breach of international maternal rights and digital expression protections. The filing, though technical, carried rhetorical weight, over a dozen references to past charitable initiatives, historical precedents of royal transparency, and critiques of patriarchal institutional structures. Across media channels, public reaction polarized. U.S. lifestyle and celebrity outlets framed Meghan as a modern woman challenging archaic norms, while UK and Commonwealth news highlighted custodial ethics, child welfare, and institutional responsibility. Sky News commentator Henry Boswell stated, "We are witnessing not simply a dispute between parents, but a test of how institutions protect minors in the age of digital ubiquity." Polling reflected this divergence. 68% of UK respondents supported Harry's custodial proposals, while in the US, only 52% favored structured restrictions on royal minors' digital exposure. International media coverage intensified. Long-form features analyzed the legal, psychological, and social implications of parental digital activity, while tabloids ran daily timelines of Meghan's posts juxtaposed against Harry's measured absence. Inside Montecito, Meghan's team debated the timing of a potential televised statement. Some advisors cautioned that preemptive public responses could further alienate the monarchy, while others argued that controlled visibility could reclaim narrative authority. By evening, Elara Group executives confirmed that the February 15 gala had been postponed indefinitely, citing reputational alignment risk. Meanwhile, Prince William, coordinating remotely from Clarence House, continued to monitor the unfolding digital and legal landscape. Reports indicated that he had finalized a draft letter of support for Harry's proposals, emphasizing the need for institutional boundaries in the public dissemination of royal children's images. At Fort Belvedere, Harry reviewed every clip, image, and caption from the past year, annotating each for potential psychological impact and narrative distortion. He reportedly told aides, "This isn't about emotion, it's about safety." Princess Anne, balancing diplomatic poise with strategic rigor, intensified her engagements with child welfare experts and online protection authorities, preparing policy recommendations to accompany the custodial summit. As February 5th drew to a close, a distinct pattern emerged. The royal household was operating with a unified legal and protective framework, while Meghan's Montecito operation relied on narrative amplification, digital engagement, and symbolic defiance. The divide was no longer simply geographical or procedural, it was philosophical. One insider described it succinctly: Harry is constructing a protective perimeter. Meghan is testing the boundaries of influence. By nightfall, the mist over Montecito thickened, shadows stretching across manicured lawns. Staff reported that Meghan worked late into the evening, annotating documents and reviewing potential international appeals. Every digital interaction was calculated, every post considered within the context of legal ramifications, public perception, and custodial strategy. Across oceans, Harry remained silent in public but meticulously active in private, his team coordinating with legal advisors, child welfare specialists, and palace officials to prepare for the February 10th summit. By the end of the day, it was clear to observers that a new chapter had begun, one defined by legal precision, digital ethics, and a recalibration of parental authority, with Archie and Lilette at the heart of an unprecedented intersection between family, media, and monarchy. February 6th dawned over Montecito with a pale, diffused light cutting through low clouds, casting long shadows across manicured gardens. Inside the estate, Meghan Markle's operations were already in motion. Staff reported a continuous rotation of encrypted calls, legal consultations, and digital content monitoring. The Duchess, seated in her study surrounded by thick volumes of legal precedent and constitutional commentaries, reviewed a detailed dossier comparing international custodial practices for high-profile figures. Her pen moved with deliberate precision across highlighted passages, connecting legal arguments with media strategy. Every note she took was carefully coded for reference, as if anticipating a courtroom that would extend across both literal and virtual spaces. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Prince Harry's team at Fort Belvedere operated with equal intensity. Advisors described an environment of meticulous control, every email reviewed, every statement pre-cleared, and every potential media interaction vetted for psychological impact on Archie and Lilette. Harry himself spent hours in quiet reflection, reviewing family archives, personal correspondences, and video footage to assess precedent and intention. The prince's approach emphasized methodical observation and disciplined response, a stark contrast to Meghan's assertive visibility strategy. By mid-morning, Meghan's legal team submitted an urgent addendum to the court filing, introducing what they termed digital expression equilibrium clauses. The document argued that parental rights in the digital era required a recalibration, emphasizing child-centric autonomy, maternal narrative authority, and the right to digitally curated legacy. The addendum included technical appendices detailing encryption standards, posting algorithms, and cross-jurisdictional enforcement challenges. Legal analysts noted that this submission was unusually sophisticated, blending elements of intellectual property law with child welfare regulations, effectively redefining the scope of parental digital authority in a modern context. In parallel, Harry's legal counsel circulated counterarguments highlighting the psychological and ethical implications of public exposure. Detailed reports from child development specialists, online security experts, and digital behavior analysts underscored potential risks of early online visibility. Drafted with meticulous care, these reports stressed consent frameworks, gradual exposure, and strict oversight, while maintaining diplomatic language to avoid escalation. The tension between proactive narrative control and protective restraint became increasingly apparent, an ideological gulf mirrored in the actions of both parties. By early afternoon, media coverage intensified. Press agencies worldwide focused on the emerging legal standoff, emphasizing the unprecedented intersection of parental rights, digital media, and high-profile institutional oversight. Analysts debated the broader implications. Would this case redefine custodial law for public figures in the digital age? Social media buzzed with speculation, support, and criticism. In the UK, polls indicated that 71% of respondents favored structured oversight to protect minors, while in the US, reactions were more evenly split, reflecting divergent cultural perspectives on digital exposure and parental authority. Amid this backdrop, Meghan prepared for a potential public statement. Advisors debated the merits of a controlled live stream versus a pre-recorded video message, weighing risks of misinterpretation, viral distortion, and legal consequences. Every phrasing, gesture, and frame was scrutinized. Meanwhile, Harry's team engaged in simulations, preparing for multiple contingencies, immediate media backlash, international commentary, and possible legal appeals. The summit on February 10th was shaping into a decisive moment, not only for the family, but for broader questions of governance, influence, and ethical responsibility in the digital era. By late afternoon, analysts noted subtle shifts in both camps' strategies. Meghan's digital approach, once aggressive and unilateral, appeared increasingly calculated, integrating legal insights into narrative timing and content curation. Harry, conversely, maintained disciplined restraint, yet his team's preparatory work suggested readiness for rapid response if unilateral action occurred. Observers described the situation as a high-stakes chess game, with every move carefully considered, and every message weighted for both immediate and long-term impact. As evening approached, Montecito's corridors grew quiet, the hum of servers and soft click of keyboards replacing the bustle of the day. Meghan's team finalized internal memos, cross-referencing every social post with potential legal interpretations. Across the ocean, Fort Belvedere remained a hub of strategic planning. Harry reviewed simulated timelines, rehearsed statements, and consulted child psychologists on nuanced messaging approaches. Across continents, the narrative was converging toward February 10th, the scheduled summit now framed not merely as a meeting, but as a decisive pivot point in custodial, digital, and institutional authority. By nightfall, the mist thickened over Montecito once more, shadows merging with the glow of monitors and the quiet intensity of focused minds. Both sides prepared for what analysts term the digital custody convergence, a rare intersection of family, law, and technology in the modern era. While Meghan's visibility strategy relied on engagement, amplification, and moral framing, Harry's emphasis remained on protection, procedural integrity, and measured response. The dichotomy was stark, but neither side wavered. As the day closed, observers across media platforms and legal circles recognized a singular reality. The conflict had transcended personal dispute, evolving into a test case for parental authority, digital ethics, and the evolving boundaries of institutional oversight in the 21st century. The stakes were clear, the players defined, and the stage set for an unprecedented legal and social confrontation that would resonate far beyond the immediate family. February 10th arrived with a palpable tension that seemed to settle over both Montecito and Fort Belvedere. The air, thick with expectation, mirrored the invisible currents of strategy, negotiation, and anticipation that defined the day. Inside Montecito, Meghan Markle reviewed her final briefing materials. Each document, each highlighted passage, had been scrutinized multiple times. The Duchess moved deliberately, cross-referencing legal clauses with potential media outcomes, weighing every phrase for both precision and impact. Advisors hovered discreetly, ready to interject with clarifications, while Meghan maintained a commanding calm, her demeanor carefully calibrated to project authority and poise, yet remain approachable. Across the Atlantic, Prince Harry prepared in equal measure. At Fort Belvedere, he walked slowly through the corridors, reviewing summaries of previous correspondence, expert reports, and simulated press responses. His team operated like a coordinated command center. Analysts monitored social media sentiment, legal counsel reviewed potential interpretations of forthcoming statements, and child development specialists prepared briefing notes for any unexpected contingencies. Harry's approach emphasized balance, protecting his children, maintaining procedural integrity, and navigating media scrutiny with precision. Every decision was informed by past precedent, psychological insight, and the anticipation of public reaction. By late morning, both camps had finalized their respective strategies. Meghan's team prepared a concise, highly controlled statement designed to assert maternal authority while framing the narrative around digital responsibility and child welfare. The document, drafted with legal advisors and communications specialists, incorporated strategic pauses, deliberate phrasing, and a sequence of emotional and rational appeals. Across the ocean, Harry's team prepared counter-statements and contingency responses, emphasizing measured restraint, procedural clarity, and protection of minor interests. Analysts noted the rare sophistication on display. Both parties were operating at a level rarely observed outside of state negotiations or high-stakes corporate litigation. As noon approached, Montecito's estate descended into quiet anticipation. Staff moved silently, checking communications, confirming schedules, and ensuring that no external interruptions could compromise the proceedings. Meghan reviewed her final notes, nodding potential questions and framing responses in advance. Each line of thought was considered from multiple angles: legal, psychological, media, and familial. Her approach demonstrated a meticulous awareness of how statements could be interpreted, manipulated, or amplified once released into the digital ecosystem. Meanwhile, Harry conducted a simulated walkthrough with his advisors. Using scenario-based exercises, he reviewed potential outcomes ranging from cooperative compromise to contentious escalation. Every statement, gesture, and nonverbal cue was considered for its impact on public perception and legal leverage. Analysts described Harry's approach as preemptive calibration, anticipating every move, every argument, every subtle inflection that could influence perception or outcome. The preparation was exhaustive, bordering on obsessive, yet it reflected the gravity of the situation. A convergence of parental rights, public scrutiny, and digital legacy management that had never been tested at this level before. By mid-afternoon, social media and news outlets reported subtle signs of escalation. Experts debated the ethical implications, the potential legal ramifications, and the broader societal significance. Commentators highlighted the unprecedented nature of the dispute, a high-profile family navigating custodial responsibilities while simultaneously managing narrative control in the digital age. Every post, every headline, every viral clip was analyzed for psychological and legal impact. Public opinion was polarized, reflecting deep cultural divides on parental authority, digital exposure, and institutional oversight. As evening drew near, both Meghan and Harry prepared for potential live engagements. Meghan's advisors suggested carefully timed communications that could assert authority without escalating conflict, while Harry's team prepared for rapid, precise responses that emphasized protection and procedure. The tension was almost tangible, each side aware that a single misstep could reverberate globally, affecting public perception, legal interpretation, and the well-being of their children. By nightfall, Montecito's estate was quiet, illuminated by the soft glow of computer monitors and the flickering warmth of indoor lighting. Meghan reviewed her notes one final time, cross-referencing statements with legal appendices, ensuring that every angle had been considered. Fort Belvedere mirrored this intensity, with Harry rehearsing key points, reviewing contingency statements, and consulting with child specialists to ensure alignment with both emotional and procedural imperatives. The day closed with a singular clarity. The upcoming summit was more than a meeting. It was a defining moment. It would test legal precedent, digital ethics, and the evolving boundaries of parental authority in a world dominated by instantaneous media and global scrutiny. The players were prepared, the stakes were clear, and their narrative was poised for a decisive turn. Analysts across continents recognized the magnitude. What unfolded in the next hours could set a lasting template for how high-profile families navigate the intersection of custody, media, and digital legacy. The stage was set, the strategies aligned, and the world watched, collectively holding its breath. The dawn of February 11th broke with an eerie quiet, a stark contrast to the mounting intensity of the previous days. Montecito and Fort Belvedere were already active, yet externally, there was no sign of the intricate orchestration occurring behind closed doors. Meghan's morning began with a meticulous review of overnight developments, media speculation, minor leaks, and subtle shifts in public sentiment. Each data point was cataloged and analyzed, assessed not just for factual accuracy, but for potential implications in both legal and emotional domains. The Duchess moved with deliberate calm, her team anticipating questions, preparing responses, and ensuring that every statement could withstand scrutiny from multiple perspectives simultaneously. Across the Atlantic, Harry initiated his own morning protocol. At Fort Belvedere, he walked through previous communications, comparing drafts, noting inconsistencies, and simulating press interactions with advisors playing the roles of journalists, pundits, and social media influencers. His approach emphasized precision. Each word, pause, and intonation was carefully evaluated for potential misinterpretation. Analysts noted that Harry's methodology reflected an acute understanding of the modern media ecosystem, where minor missteps could quickly escalate into global controversies. His focus remained fixed on his children, yet he understood the inextricable connection between parental decisions and public narrative, a duality that shaped every move he made. By mid-morning, both camps had finalized their coordinated communications strategy. Meghan's team prepared statements that emphasized maternal authority, digital responsibility, and the broader ethical context surrounding the dispute. Every phrase was measured, each clause deliberately constructed to assert control while remaining legally and publicly defensible. Harry's advisors simultaneously prepared parallel communications emphasizing procedural fairness, child protection, and the careful navigation of media scrutiny. The interplay between these dual strategies was subtle, a chess match of narrative framing, legal positioning, and emotional resonance. Social media began to pulse with early signs of reaction. Analysts noted that even minor shifts in phrasing or tone triggered disproportionate engagement, highlighting the hypersensitive nature of public perception. Commentators debated the ethical dimensions of the dispute, the implications for parental authority, and the unprecedented intersection of celebrity, legal responsibility, and digital transparency. Every development was amplified through real-time channels, creating a feedback loop that both Meghan and Harry had anticipated, yet which required constant monitoring to ensure strategic coherence. As afternoon approached, tension became tangible. Montecito's estate operated with near-military precision. Staff coordinated schedules, monitored communication channels, and ensured uninterrupted security. Meghan rehearsed responses to hypothetical questions, refining tone and inflection, adjusting cadence to convey authority, empathy, and composure simultaneously. Her team emphasized control, minimizing any openings for misinterpretation or misrepresentation. Across the ocean, Harry conducted mirrored rehearsals, practicing statements, refining gestures, and consulting with legal and psychological advisors to ensure alignment with both procedural objectives and child-centered priorities. By late afternoon, external observers began to detect subtle movements. Media briefings, discreet press releases, and carefully timed social media posts. Each element was designed to reinforce strategic messaging while avoiding escalation. Analysts described the unfolding sequence as calculated equilibrium, a delicate balance between assertion, defense, and public perception management. The stakes were high. Every interaction, statement, or gesture could influence legal interpretation, public sentiment, and familial dynamics in profound ways. Evening descended with an almost ceremonial gravity. Both Meghan and Harry retreated briefly to internal strategy sessions, reviewing developments, recalibrating for potential contingencies, and preparing for final communications. Montecito and Fort Belvedere became nerve centers of analysis and decision-making, with advisors, lawyers, and communications specialists working in tandem to anticipate and address every conceivable scenario. The precision of their planning underscored the unique complexity of the situation. A convergence of parental rights, legal nuance, and global media scrutiny, intensified by the stakes of child welfare and personal legacy. As night fell, both estates stood in quiet vigilance. Meghan reviewed her final notes, ensuring that every potential question, scenario, and outcome had been addressed. Harry conducted one last simulation, confirming that all statements aligned with strategic objectives and ethical considerations. Outside, the world remained unaware of the exact dynamics unfolding, yet the ripple effects were already evident in headlines, social feeds, and analyst reports. The day had been a testament to meticulous planning, strategic foresight, and an almost preternatural anticipation of consequences. A demonstration of the extraordinary pressures faced by those navigating personal decisions under global scrutiny. The day closed with a sense of poised anticipation. Both Meghan and Harry understood that the coming hours would not merely conclude a sequence of communications or legal maneuvers, but would define public narratives, familial perceptions, and digital legacies for years to come. The meticulous preparations, the carefully measured statements, and the strategic simulations had all been designed to withstand the scrutiny of time, media, and law. Now, as Montecito and Fort Belvedere settled into night, the world was on the cusp of witnessing a culmination, a defining intersection of personal authority, procedural integrity, and public observation. An intricate, high-stakes drama that was only beginning to unfold.